We'll be right back. It's now time for the Billy C. Show, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing okay. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-263-2628. And also, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can get a copy of it right now while you're watching or listening to this very show. Just visit BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, or just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the book. And today's show is also being brought to us in part by our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week TV channel. Check it out on Ginico USA, or click the banner on our website. Vasiliy Lomachenko and Luke Campbell fight just got over. Vasiliy Lomachenko improves to now he's 14 wins, 1 loss, with 10 knockouts when he won a unanimous decision over Luke Campbell, who put in a pretty game effort. The way the judges scored it, 2 of them saw it 119-108. One judge had it 118-109. I had it just a little bit closer, 117-110. Lomachenko dropped Luke Campbell in the 11th round. Looked like he was going to go down in the 12th as well. But Luke Campbell tackled him, picked up his leg, threw him down. Listen, the fight was good. I thought that Luke Campbell gave Lomachenko some fits, as they thought he might. I think the size, I think the arm reach, and the fact that Luke Campbell stuck to his game plan, kept sticking Lomachenko with the jab, kept him at a safe distance, proved to save him, so to speak. A couple of body shots hurt him. I had a 10-9 round in the 5th, although Luke Campbell was hurt pretty bad with a body shot. There was a lot of close rounds, as far as I'm concerned. Rounds 2, 3, 4, and 6 were all very close. Could have gone either way. The rounds that I did give Campbell, I gave him the first round, I gave him the 6th, and I gave him the 7th. Those were the only rounds that I gave to Luke Campbell. But like I said, there were 4 rounds that I felt could have gone either way. Once again, the ESPN Plus broadcast was kind of brutal. It was better with Joe Tessitore, that's for sure. But I don't know. I'm not sure if like part of Andre Ward's contract requires the announcers to give him accolades all through the fight. You know, one thing stuck in my mind while I was watching this fight. The thing that bothered me the most about the whole production of the event was that the announcers had a tendency to keep talking about the Lomachenko fight, specifically Lomachenko, all through the other fights. You know, I mean, in my opinion, announcers should call the action that's happening in front of them. Yeah, okay, you know, I know it was a big fight and everything else, but I mean, enough. I mean, how many times can we hear about Lomachenko? We knew what we were tuning in to watch. We knew we couldn't wait for the fight. But, I mean, through all of the preliminary bouts, all they talked about was Lomachenko. You know, I mean, it would have been nice to talk a little bit about the fights that took place on the undercard. And those fights, Joe Cordina improved to 10-0 with 7 knockouts with a unanimous decision over Gavin Gwynn. who drops to 11-1. He lost his first time. Joshua Buatsi, I think. I murder everyone's name, except that's why I call myself C, because I can't even pronounce my own name. Won a fight against Ryan Ford. Body shot knocked out Ford in the 7th round. Ford drops to 16-5. Buatsi improved to 12-1. 12-0 with 10 knockouts. Charlie Edwards against Julio Cesar Martinez. This was unfortunate for Martinez. Martinez knocked out Charlie Edwards in the 3rd round, 1 minute and 43 seconds. But while he was on the ground, nailed him with a body shot, clearly, while he was on his knee. Was initially ruled the winner, and then Mr. Suleiman ruled it a no contest, and then ordered an immediate rematch. It didn't seem like Charlie wanted that rematch, was saying that he had problems making weight, etc., etc. But in any event, and then the co-main event, Hughie Fury stepped in with Alexander Povetkin. Hughie Fury didn't impress me. He never has, to be honest with you. I do give him credit for fighting some tough fights early in his career. But Alexander Povetkin, who, let's be real, I mean, this is a shell of what the best Povetkin, not that he was ever a world beater, but this was a shell of the best Povetkin. He wasn't accurate at all with his punches. He just plotted. If he would have connected with half of them, he would have dropped and knocked out Fury. I mean, the punches just couldn't find their target, but he did enough to win. All 3 judges scored at 117-111 in favor of Alexander Povetkin, who improved to 35-2 with 24 knockouts. Hughie Fury drops to 23-2, or actually 23-3. I'm sorry, with 13 knockouts. Hughie Fury, he had a jab. He just didn't do enough. He just danced around. Povetkin was the aggressor in that fight. So we'll see what happens. Apparently, according to the announcing team, that he turned down a $1 million payday to fight Tyson Fury. So maybe there's another fight in the cards for Povetkin. But clearly, there's not much left in that tank. He's the same style fighter that we saw against Anthony Joshua. But back to Vasiliy Lomachenko. Looked like an ordinary fighter tonight against Luke Campbell. Not taking anything away from Lomachenko. Still feel that he's tied for number 1 pound for pound with my man Terrence Crawford. But Vasiliy Lomachenko, the thing I like about Lomachenko is he fights very smart. The bottom line is he took his time and waited, took advantage when he got the openings and went in, but didn't take many chances. He did seem to get rocked early, midway through the fight, I should say. Campbell did connect a couple of shots with him. I think Campbell should have taken a little more chances. I think he was hurt. I'm not so sure how much he recovered from that 5th round body shot, because every time Lomachenko nailed him to the body after that, it seemed that it put a hurt on him. So what's next for Lomachenko? Well, he's made it no secret that he wants to become the undisputed world lightweight champion. He will be fighting the winner of, I guess it's the WB. Let's see, he's got the WBA, WBO, WBC. That leaves the IBF. So the winner of that fight, he should be fighting. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that Vasiliy Lomachenko hurt himself in this fight. He just didn't. He didn't seem the same. Maybe we got to give Luke Campbell more credit. I will tell you this. I said it earlier. I do believe that the height gave Lomachenko some trouble. But you know what? Let's be real. This guy is fighting in the lightweight division I don't think he's a lightweight. You know, he even said that he wants to move up to junior welter. I don't know. He doesn't pack the power. He does pack the accuracy. He's a pinpoint puncher, but I don't know. Moving up too much. I think it's making him look ordinary, and he's certainly not an ordinary fighter. So if you're just tuning in, Vasiliy Lomachenko retained his WBA and WBO world lightweight titles and picked up the vacant WBC with a unanimous decision over Luke Campbell in a very entertaining fight. It was a chess match to begin with, and then it was interesting to watch Lomachenko slowly break down Campbell, which he did. The way I scored it, I gave Campbell the first round. I gave Lomachenko the second, third, and fourth rounds, which I made notation that they were all extremely close. Could have gone either way. I gave the fifth round to Lomachenko, came back and gave the sixth round to Campbell. But then the only other round I gave to Campbell was the ninth. I gave Lomachenko the seventh, the eighth, the 10th. The 11th was a 10-8 round when he dropped Luke Campbell. And then the 12th round, you could have made the argument that could have been a 10-8 round for Lomachenko as well. I mean, he literally got tackled in that round. So anyway, hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I get back, we'll get Dax Khan's thoughts. So don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Have osteoarthritis in one or both knees? If you have osteoarthritis in one or both knees, are you on Medicare, Obamacare, or other health insurance? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a prescription strength solution for osteoarthritis of the knees, covered by Medicare at little to absolutely no cost to you. We also offer a prescription strength topical pain relief ointment that can be used for pain experienced on other areas of your body. Our experienced staff will work with your doctor and handle all of your Medicare or insurance paperwork. Best of all, your prescription is shipped directly to your home for free. Will you qualify for a prescription strength solution for osteoarthritis of the knee or for a topical pain relief ointment covered by Medicare or private insurance at little or no cost to you?
Find out for free by calling the Back and Knee Pain Center at 1-800-604-1072. That's 1-800-604-1072, 1-800-604-1072.
Medical alarms for people who fall or have medical emergencies. You never think you'll need one until you do. Hi, I'm Lonnie Anderson for Advantage Alert. Today, our advanced systems locate and protect people inside and outside their homes, plus when they're on the road, allowing users with the press of a button to speak with an operator who can summon help. And even after 30 years, Advantage Alert's products remain amazingly affordable.
Call 800-985-1705.
Addiction is an epidemic in America. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, you need to call the R360 Network now.
I'm Ken Seeley, author, addiction recovery specialist, and former addict. R360 is a nationwide network of addiction recovery specialists that I personally selected and recommend.
The call is free, the consultation is free. If you have private insurance, your treatment could be covered with no out-of-pocket cost.
Call 800-705-0023.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. We just got done watching the Vasiliy Lomachenko Luke Campbell fight. I thought it was a good one. Joining me right now to get his thoughts is my man Dax. What's up?
phone booth. So, he has fights out there, but his time, even in the top 10 or top 15, that's long gone.
Do you think that Povetkin is going to get a title shot?
No. I'm just saying, at any time, that's all done. Even as like a top 15 fighter, those days are long behind him. So the only thing left for him would be fight against a guy like a Kevin Johnson or a Derek Chisora or something like that, because Povetkin has that name. But other than that, there's really nothing for Povetkin out there.
Yeah.
He was undersized when Klitschko was the champ. You know what I mean? Now the guys are even bigger, so he's even more undersized, and he's an old man.
Yeah. No. He clearly was. He clearly looked old. And what's he turning 40 like tomorrow or something, or the next day?
I don't know. He's been turning 40. I don't know how many years now.
Well, he's not quite as old as Ortiz, right? He's like, I think he's 60 now.
Ortiz, yeah, I don't know. Ortiz's most impressive performance for me was on the undercard of I forget. One of those Joe Louis Bum of the Month things. I don't know. I mean, how old is he? Just off subject. How old is he? I've heard so many rumors. I've actually heard he was like 53.
I think he's definitely in his mid to late 40s. Luis Ortiz. There's no question about that. They're saying he just turned 40. He was 40 for several years, but in any event, hey Dax, a couple of things I wanted to ask you about some things coming up next in 2 weeks. Actually, we're going to see the Tyson Fury and Otto Wallen fight. Any thoughts on that?
I am so tired of listening to Anthony Joshua run his mouth. At one point in time, I was a Joshua fan. There's nothing I dislike more than a sore loser. And ever since his loss to Andy Ruiz, he's just become annoying. And, he's out there and he's downing Tyson Fury and his choice of opponent over Otto Wallen. But, Tyson Fury, he's staying active. Wallen is an undefeated fighter. And while it's not one of the champion or the top guys in the division, Tyson Fury's out there. He's doing his thing. And Wallen, he's not a bad fighter, but of course he's not, a top-level fighter. I like it, and all it does, in my opinion, is build up for that next big fight. Anything that Tyson Fury does right now, Tyson Fury all eyes are on Tyson Fury and throughout the whole sport. Remember, a couple years ago, we were laughing at this guy. Right now, he's like the most loved guy there is in boxing. Last week or week before, he showed up on one of the cards here in America, and he was still wearing the American flag. Anthony Joshua, here's something that I didn't understand. I was reading a few articles. Anthony Joshua, everybody thought he was the biggest star making the most money. And then I come to learn out that, Tyson Fury has actually made more in his career, and he's actually worth more money than Anthony Joshua is, and that's happened over the last 3 years.
I didn't hear that. Who's your pound? Johnston wants to know. He sent us a super chat. Wants to know who your pound for pound number one is. Is it Lomachenko or Terrence Crawford?
I roll with Crawford because of, Lomachenko's the better technical boxer, but Crawford because he's so good at boxing and he's such a dog in there when he wants that knockout. So, I always have Crawford number one. I have Lomachenko number two. Anybody wants to switch that, I have no problems with it. But honestly, I got to say, in the next year or two, that guy is going to be a newie.
I think
and then it's going to be Usyk, and this, in my opinion, really, I might even say they are the top two guys right now, but they just don't have the resume.
I think that I have a hard time. First of all, Terrence Crawford's been my guy. Everybody that has ever listened to this show knows that I feel he's a quality fighter. I get really ticked off when people say he doesn't have a good resume. People say,
he cleaned out a division, he unified. What more is he going to do?
He beat everybody. I don't know. Even on his way up, he was the B side and kept winning. But that's neither here nor there. So clearly, he's in my opinion right there at number one. But so's Lomachenko. Lomachenko is such a talented fighter, and he does things that I've never seen before. Tonight, he kind of looked ordinary, but I think we have to give credit to Luke Campbell for that. So I don't have a defined number one. I say it's a tie. In my opinion, I say it's a tie between TC and Lomachenko. So I am looking forward to the Tyson Fury fight in a couple of weeks. Also, Jaime Mugai is fighting again against Patrick Alate, same weekend. And Ryan Garcia, we got to talk with him out in Vegas for the Canelo fight. He seems, when we met him, he was a little cocky, and I think he's believing the press clippings. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I'm not so sure he's a main event fighter on a pay-per-view type fight yet, and that's what he thinks, Dax.
No, I don't think so at all. I like the kid. I think he has a lot of potential. But, yeah, at that moment, too, you have to understand where he was. He's in that room, Bill, and people who weren't there, they don't understand exactly how many big names were in that room in terms of media and stuff like that. So that's a lot of pressure on a young fighter. But, he was very nice. He was cordial. I think he's a very skilled fighter. But, in that stable, the superstar, and I told you this that day, and I remember talking to you after that card, and you looked at me and you were like, yeah, I guess you're right. That's Virgil Ortiz Jr.
Yeah. I know. I got another question for you. Kovalev Canelo, is it going to happen?
I don't know why it should. They seem to think there's something with that body shot, with the body on Kovalev they can exploit. But, again, we've seen what happened with Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence. Canelo hasn't been, a dominant fighter at 160 pounds. He hasn't knocked anybody out. He did, get the knockout real quick at 168 pounds. But, that was a guy who wasn't exactly an elite fighter. He's a good fighter, but not an elite fighter. Canelo, he's a very good boxer. He's got the best resume in boxing, but I really think he's overstepping himself. And I brought this up, speaking of Vegas, I brought this up with Oscar, and he refused to answer me when I said, were you serious about Kovalev and Canelo? And, he kind of nodded his head and said yes. I said, well, what about, the very next day when you said if Andre Ward is willing to come out of retirement, Canelo will face him and beat him too? Oscar had no comment. He smiled and just turned around and walked away. So why they're doing this, why they're saying this, I have no idea. But it's a bad matchup for either one of them. I don't think Kovalev really has that much left in him anymore. And if Canelo, if Canelo wanted to prove how good he was against a bigger guy, Dmitry Bivol would more than happy be down to 168.
Yeah, but that's exactly why Canelo Kovalev is going to happen, in my opinion. Kovalev is looking for one more huge payday. He will get it against Canelo, and I think Canelo beats Kovalev. I think that Kovalev is pretty much done, and I think that the body work of Canelo will break down Kovalev. Now, Canelo, it is still a risky fight for Canelo because Kovalev could connect, with a power shot and hurt Canelo. But at the end of the day, we've seen Canelo fight at that size, and I'm sure there'll be some kind of weight contract that'll favor Canelo. So I think the fight's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen before the end of this year, Dax, because Canelo wants to get back on track fighting in May. I don't think he's going to wait to fight until May for his next fight. I think we're going to hear that fight is signed, sealed, and delivered to take place sometime in November or early December. That's what I think.
No, yeah, if it does happen, that's a the time frame you would expect. That Rocky Fielding's the guy that I was thinking about. Canelo's kind of doing a Miguel Cotto where he's jumping up and waiting. He's just picking the right guys to get these wins and kind of solidify himself in history. And we have spoken about this, and we mentioned this to Oscar. Is Canelo looking to really just get these wins, make his place in history, and get out of the sport early? And I think that's what we're going to see.
Well, he might, and there's been a lot of friction between Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez. From what I understand, they were not too lovey-dovey recently, and I think that Canelo is looking for this type of a fight, a Kovalev-type fight where he can make some big bucks. And, from a historical perspective, make a splash as well. So this is typical what to expect. I think we should expect the fight. I really do.
Yeah, I told Sal, Alex, everybody who watched a few years ago, I said, when HBO's closing down and a lot of these networks aren't showing boxing on there anymore, watch for Golden Boy Promotions to team up with Eddie Hearn and DAZN. Because at that point in time, we were starting to see a lot of the U.S. fighters sign with Eddie Hearn. Now with that tension between Canelo and Golden Boy Promotions, I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo ended up with Eddie Hearn.
That's a good possibility. DAZN is having some issues because they need to continue to make these fights. We talked about this when we were in Vegas about the cost and the expense that DAZN has out there with fighters like Anthony Joshua, Canelo, Triple G, to name the top three, and the contracts that they have with them, and what is required in terms of subscribers. There's no way they're paying that bill. And I just don't see the big fights, and they need fights like this, so that's why it's going to happen. One last thing, Triple G against Deverenchenko, taking place October 5th at Madison Square Garden in New York City. I like this fight, Dax. Triple G. If we were talking about this fight a couple of years ago, and we were talking about Triple G of a couple of years ago, it wouldn't be as intriguing, but Triple G's not the same fighter anymore, and his age is definitely caught up with him. He's had a couple of tough fights with Canelo. We all want to see him fight Canelo. Rumor has it that Canelo's not giving him the fight just to spite him. I think it's deeper than that. But Deverenchenko is a tough guy. Might be. I'm not saying he's as talented as Golovkin, but I think that Triple G isn't going to wear him down and may get worn down himself. What's your thoughts?
Well, Danny Jacobs couldn't wear him down. Deverenchenko has a great chin. First time I ever seen him was the day that Mayweather and Pacquiao announced their fight, and it was at a small card in Westchester, and he was facing Vladimir Bios, who had just really given J. Leon Love tooth and nail a war on Showtime, and he just walked through Bios just like. And it was, everybody's just standing up and you're screaming. He was exciting. But after that, you started seeing him slowly, be more of a boxer. He has a solid chin. He can box. So, this very well could be an upset. And, very well be, Derevychenko going out of Madison Square Garden with that title. And then we could see him facing off against Canelo. There's a lot of, possibilities in that division right now. And a lot of that has to do, Bill, and it doesn't matter whether it's now or any point in time in the future or the past. Whenever the top guy is at that age where his career is over and the other guys are getting those opportunities, or, you have these guys that are, just reaching their peak, the division all of a sudden becomes very exciting because you never know what's going to happen. Every time, one of these fights like this one happens, it's always a what if. You can't even, you can't clearly define or pick who a winner is going to be. And that's what makes, boxing, that's what separates boxing from any other sport.
Well, let me ask you real quick. Should Canelo-Kovalev happen, does Canelo stay in that division? I think he just fights Kovalev just for the novelty, wins that title, and then he goes back to middleweight. He is a big guy, and like you said, the Rocky Fielding fight that he had, that technically was that was a super middleweight fight. So, I think I think he wants Kovalev for the historical part.
Oh, absolutely. And to stay in that division, that's crazy. That division has killers in it. Arthur Beterbiev is a monster. Same thing with Bodzik. Those two guys are going to face off. Guys like, let's say, Joe Smith Jr., who's not at that elite level, but my gosh, Joe Smith Jr. is a big guy with a heck of a punch. I couldn't imagine Canelo, even with his great chin, taking punches from him. Or even if he went, again, like I stated, the smallest guy in that division, but absolutely the most talented guy in that division, Dimitri Bivol, Canelo, it just would not work out for him. It'd be foolish. I couldn't see that. And I think Canelo's a little smarter than that.
Final thoughts on Lomachenko, Luke Campbell, Dax?
Final thought, I think Lomachenko is going to stick around, and he's going to get that belt from whoever the winner is between Kami and Lopez. After that, I think Lomachenko, when he has hinted about that, his career is solidified. He should have enough money to live on, and I think he's going to leave the sport.
You don't
And
think?
as far as Campbell goes, I just think, you know what? As I stated before, a few more fights, maybe fix a few things that haven't been adjusted yet against a little bit better competition than the guys he's faced in the past 5 or 6 fights. And then again, we have him as a top 3, top 4 fighter in that division.
You don't think he's been hinting that he wants to move to junior welter? You don't think he's going to do it?
No, and again, just like we were saying about Canelo, despite how talented Lomachenko is, that division has a lot of killers and a lot of hard punchers.
Yeah.
And eventually a good big man is going to beat even a great little man.
Yeah, he is 31. Lomachenko is 31, so
gosh knows how many years of training with the amateur fights. So.
But the thing is has he made the money?
I would think so. Yeah, no, he hasn't made the superstar dollars of like a Mayweather or a Pacquiao, I don't think. But yeah, no, he's made a good living. And Lomachenko, he has an interest outside of boxing. He's a smart guy.
Well, I hope he does well, and I could see him unifying the titles. And then from what he does there, I don't think I'm with you. I don't think he's got anything left to prove. But the type of person he seems to be, I think he's going to try and do one other great thing. Remember, he always said the most important thing for him is the historical aspect of his legacy. He's never once complained about money or anything. One other thing I want to point out and get your quick thoughts on. They did make kind of a point to mention on the broadcast, which again, ESPN Plus is less than desirable in my opinion, but they were given credit to the fighters that have titles, unifying titles, and they were giving credit to promoters working with each other, and they did kind of call out the PBC, which I was very appreciative to, because of all of the let's just call them promotional outfits, the PBC is the only one that really has fraud fighters when you think of it. Their fighters fight no one. They end up with titles, and they never cross the lines. Ruiz is the only one, and I don't think that they thought he was going to beat Anthony Joshua, and they tried their hardest to get out of the ironclad contract that Eddie Hearn had with him.
I think that everybody is tired, not just of the PBC, just tired of these abundance of titles. And what it is now, the guys that have the regular title or the diamond title and that, more or less, they're being put into their place. And that's not an insult against them. More or less, it's kind of saying, you know what, that's the number one guy ranked in that sanctioning body. We can't go by what the sanctioning body tells us. The sanctioning body will sell us anything. That's what they do. But, I think everybody's just getting tired of it, and everybody's just saying to themselves, you know what, this is the order. This is the guy who's fought this guy, this guy, this guy. And that's who everybody is recognizing. Most of all, if you have a division and a guy's got more than one title, then, you have to consider him the top guy in the division if he's unified titles against another champion. Not just because somebody has a belt and they face, 15 guys that, just happen to be a mandatory.
Yeah. I hope that they eventually fight with other promotional outfits, the PBC, and then we could, have some unified champions. I really think
Here's one I know you don't like to talk about, but Claressa Shields always beating her chest. And don't get me wrong, I love Claressa Shields as a fighter, but she really hasn't been tested, and not a lot of fighters in that division. Not her fault. But what about Savannah Marshall, huh?
I missed that fight. I only saw some of it, but
and she has a win over Claressa Shields. Don't remember that.
Yeah, the women's boxing. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm looking forward to the potential Heather Hardy showdown with what's
Amanda Serrano.
Yes,
yeah, of course. That's a huge fight. That's a huge fight.
I'd like to see that. That I was never that high on Heather Hardy, but I've become a big fan. I like her, and not that I dislike Amanda Serrano, but I think it would be a good fight.
Hey, well, if anything, as and I seen Heather not too long ago up in at the Gleason's Give a Kid a Dream camp, and I've had this talk with Sonia Lamanakis, many times over the years. Whether not even just for those two girls, but for guys like Shawnee Monahan and Joe Smith Jr. I think that these guys who really work hard and they're not getting the money that these other fighters are getting, they kind of get cheated by not having these local rivalry fights. And Amanda Serrano and Heather Hardy, women's boxing, we know they don't get paid a fraction to what men's boxing does, but in New York, they're both big draws. Heather is a huge draw. She has a huge fan base. Amanda has, all the support of the Puerto Ricans in New York. So, this, no matter who wins, this is a good fight for both of them because finally the two of these girls, no matter who wins, and if they're not being taken care of properly by the promoters in this fight, their next fights, they should get a good payday.
Yeah, well, hopefully they do. They both deserve it. So, Dax, I appreciate your thoughts, and we'll look forward to you next time, brother.
One last thing off topic. Did you hear about Elijah Holyfield getting signed with the Carolina Panthers? I only bring that up because I know you're a huge football fan. Holyfield announced it today.
I heard that he was looking for a team, but that's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Vanderhill said it today. So, yeah. All right, everybody. See you soon.
All right, brother. That's Dax Khan. You can check him out up on the website. I'm going to take a short break, and we'll be back in about 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
Similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, talking boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in. Because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap. The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. I guess you're listening now. We had some sound problems, and much to his chagrin, and I just had to fill Dax in on it. Joining us right now, unfortunately, no one's going to get to see him but me because I have to reprogram that camera. So here, Alex, you've been spending all your time putting everything in the camera shot, and you're looking great, by the way. And no one else is going to see it, so they're going to have to wait till next week. It was all these upgrades and stuff. I forgot to do one thing. So hey, you look great. The set looks great. Too bad I'm the only one that can see it. So. Anyway.
Great new haircut,
yeah.
makeup, and been here for 30 minutes.
I know, the makeup woman just left. I mean, it's you look great, really. But and trust me, everyone, he does. But you can't see him. You're gonna have to look at me. But anyway, what was your thoughts? Lomachenko against Luke Campbell. I thought it was pretty entertaining, man.
I really, really enjoyed it. It was a very good fight.
Okay, thanks. We'll talk to you next week. No,
I thought it was a little closer than the judges had it. My final score was 116-112 for Lomachenko. I did have one round even. That was the 8th. There was a couple rounds that were very close. I think the thing that's interesting, and this does happen to guys who are, really super talented, is the size becomes a factor before their skills get actually beaten. And I think that's what we're starting to see. I'm not sure. I would like to see him move up to 140, but because I still want to see him fight Mikey Garcia. I think that fight will happen. What you and Dax are talking about, I think the mega fight for him is 140 pounds Mikey Garcia. And I think that's where... Because that's the thing about Campbell. Campbell fought a great fight, and one of the things he showed is that timing beats speed and finding the right range. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was a good fight, but I think it was only really close for maybe 8 rounds. Then Lomachenko really broke it open.
You see, now, I thought that his jab, Luke Campbell's jab, I thought that his jab is what kept Lomachenko in check. And, I'm not so sure of the timing. I think he stayed with his game plan, which credit to Campbell, and it bought him to stay with Lomachenko for 12 rounds. I think it also showed us how disciplined Lomachenko really is. He wasn't going to take unnecessary risks, and he was waiting until he could get his shots. And credit to Luke Campbell, his shots came far and few in between. So I give more credit for Campbell for preventing a Lomachenko-esque performance by Vasiliy Lomachenko. I, too, had it a little closer than the judges. I scored it 117-110 in favor of Lomachenko. I gave Campbell the first round. The second, third, and fourth could have gone either way on my scorecard. I did lean towards Lomachenko. I thought he landed the harder punches. And then I gave Campbell the sixth and ninth rounds. But then again, the sixth round was also close. You could have went the other way with scoring it for Lomachenko. So I could see where the judges' cards came in. What rounds did you give Campbell?
I gave Campbell the first. I thought that was a very close round. I thought most of it, Lomachenko landed something in the very end, but I didn't think it was enough to negate the way Campbell had seemed to at least force Lomachenko to, accept the dimensions of the bigger guy. I gave Campbell the second round as well, even though that was a close one. And then I gave Campbell the 6th, and the 8th I had even, and then I gave Campbell the 9th. And then I did have, of course, the 10-8 round in the 11th. And as you had mentioned, there was another round where the bell just ended, and that round, could have been a KO if that round was a little longer. And then I think, was that the same round where he tackled him, or was that the 11th?
No. Round 5 was the one where Lomachenko hurt him to the body, and he was like, if 10 more seconds he was going to hit the canvas. Round 12 was the tackle. Round 12 was the tackle. I think because Lomachenko wanted to
10-8 round 2.
You scored that 10-8?
No, I didn't. But like you said, I agree. It could have been a 10-8 round.
Yes.
Some people might have had that.
Yeah. Okay. I've been waiting to ask you because this guy drives me insane, but somehow I have a feeling you like him. Mark Kriegel. I can't stand him. I mean, he's like trying to be what's his name?
Larry Merchant.
He's a Larry Merchant, but he's not.
Well, that's why I like him. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think they're a pretty good team. I like Ward and Bradley a lot. I thought Bradley called Joe Tessitore Jerry several times, but I could have misheard that.
Well, he was calling Huey Tyson, too.
Yeah.
Listen.
But I think his analysis is terrific.
Yes.
Same thing with Andre Ward. I love when the two of them go back and forth on issues because you really feel like you are getting insider conversation, hearing from two guys who are craftsmen in the ring. One of the things that was really interesting about this fight was, and again, we've talked about this before, the mean streak in Lomachenko. Not only is he almost like a jazz musician in that he's so improvisational, his style is beautiful, he's also mean. And you saw that in this fight where Campbell, I think it was the second round, they tangled up in a clinch, and Campbell smartly said, I'm the bigger, stronger guy. I'm going to own these clinches. And he roughhoused him a little. But then the next clinch, you saw a competitive ass Lomachenko that he is. He came right back, and then he was the one trying to rough him up in the clinches. And it was interesting how both Campbell several times used his forearm, and there was one time he kind of used his elbow almost. The ref didn't see it. And then Lomachenko came back really hard when there was that rough stuff. And it was great because it did show you that the guy is such a veteran. He doesn't need the ref. He'll take care of it.
Boys and girls out there, you're missing Alex Papali at his best. In animation, I mean, I wish people could actually see him. I'm getting to see him. I mean, he's doing a great job. He's doing great. He's doing great. And wait till next week because he's going to do just as well. But
if we're at dinner, they'd be saying, "What's that guy? What's wrong with that guy in the back over there?"
I was dying when you were lining up Joe Louis and getting him in the camera shot. I'm sitting there trying to say, sorry, bro, you're not gonna get. But anyway, I agree with you, and that's what I like about both Lomachenko and Terrence Crawford. They both have a mean streak, and that brings me to the next question for you. This is the argument now. Who's pound for pound number one? I still can't pick one out of the two because I very rarely do I say this, but I do believe that on my pound for pound rankings, I have them tied. I cannot pick one over the other. Who do you have as number one?
I think it is. You've got four guys right now that you could make such a great case for it. I lean towards Lomachenko, and I think because I don't think it should be that surprising. I got a superhero on my arm. I like
that no one can see, but trust me, it's there.
I like guys who do something preternatural, and Lomachenko. Not to take that away from Crawford, by all, I mean, he is certainly in the same breath as, the best fighter on earth. But Lomachenko, you're usually going to see something you've never seen before, and that's cool. And so consistently, he's been doing that. And even in this fight, I thought he was going to get arm weary after that 11th round. He did not. And in the 12th, if there was ever a time he was going to get arm weary, he should have, but he didn't. And in the 12th, he had Campbell hurt again. So I don't know. He's just he's my pound for pound number one. But yeah, you also got Terrence Crawford, you got Inoue, and you have Alexander Usyk, and then very, very close, you have Canelo.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an awesome time because I'm loving the heavyweights, even though I'm not too thrilled about Tyson Fury's next little outing. I am loving the heavyweight division. We have so much more than just the heavyweights right now.
The thing you got to give Tyson Fury credit for, though, he is fighting young, undefeated fighters. I mean, the other path that some of these top-notch fighters take are clearly fighters that they know they can beat. He's fighting an unknown. He's most likely he knows he can beat, but still.
Yeah. Right, and it just seems like we're sort of stuck in this sort of commercial holding pattern where each one of these networks has to get their fights out. We have to watch the Ortiz fight against Wilder. We have to watch this fight against Fury with Valine, and then finally get the rematch, which I think they should have gone right to.
Listen, the Ortiz Deontay Wilder rematch. Now, when you called one of the Ortiz fights that I called with me, I'm pretty sure he's 48 then, and that was like 10 years ago. So, and they're saying he just turned 40. But the truth of the matter is, if he was really only 40, even if he was a 35-year-old fighting Deontay, I don't think Wilder beats him. That's just my opinion. Wilder's got that freakish punching power, but that's it. One thing I want to jump back to, ESPN Plus. I'm not crazy about it. Yes, Joe Tessitore is solid. I love Joe Tess. He does college football great. I like him on the ESPN broadcast, and I'm with you. I liked Timothy Bradley and Dre Ward. I know him as Andre Ward, but everyone else calls him Dre now, I guess. But the thing that irritates the hell out of me is how many times they give him accolades. Like, that must be part of his contract. Like, they all put him up on a pedestal. Now, he got a gold medal, and, he did beat Kovalev twice. But the truth of the matter is Timothy Bradley was a way more exciting fighter than Dre Ward was, and I don't think that he deserves them to constantly talk about him during these broadcasts. And one other thing, Alex, they were talking about Vasiliy Lomachenko. I know he was the main event, but they were talking about Vasiliy Lomachenko nonstop during the whole undercard. I mean, my opinion is you should call the fight that's happening in front of you. In between rounds maybe, in between fights maybe, but during the fight, I mean, were they even watching any of those fights?
And definitely, you're absolutely right. I mean, Tessitore is he's shown that he's certainly well versed in the hard sell, and it's like, why are you trying so hard? That's why we're here. We want to watch Lomachenko. We're not changing the channel. You're right. Talk about the fight that's in front of you. I think part of it was that the Povetkin Fury fight was dreadful, which shouldn't have been too surprising because remember, Alexander Povetkin was part of one of the most dreadful heavyweight championship fights of all time when he fought Vladimir Klitschko. So, it shouldn't be too surprising that he has that ability to stink it out. And nobody can stink it out like heavyweights. So I wasn't too surprised that they weren't, talking about that fight. But you're right. They definitely, they're hyper-focused on the main event. And also, I don't know. It was fun because I'm a boxing nerd, so I enjoyed it. But I could see it certainly turning off some viewers when Tim Bradley was arguing pretty fiercely about the pound for pound list. Hey guys, it doesn't matter. But it was funny to hear how enthusiastic he was. And the thing about it is that they have the two guys, so they're that's why they're enjoying making it seem like it's all about that, because both their guys fight on their network.
I was a little surprised that the judges scored the fight 117-111 for Povetkin against Fury. I didn't score it, but every time I noticed them mention something, they were giving Fury the accolades. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, Povetkin wasn't he wasn't hitting. He was just like lightning. He wasn't hitting the same spot twice, And as a matter of fact, he wasn't even hitting any spots, And but he was the aggressor, and he deserved to win. One last thing I want to get actually two things. I wanted to get your thoughts on the Julio Cesar Martinez third round knockout win. No, wait, they changed it to a no contest, right? But right, I mean, that was so strange. I'm not saying that he didn't hit the guy while he's down. That was clear. And they're trying to Timothy Bradley and Ward and Dre are trying to say that the referee didn't get a good shot. Every replay you saw, he actually stepped over him to get him away. I mean, to say he didn't see that, I mean, it was clearly a shot while he was down. But there was no way Charlie Edwards was going to win a fight. And quite honestly, I don't think he wants to fight him again. He was saying, the weight problem, this and that. What's your thoughts on the fight, the outcome, and the potential rematch?
I thought, first of all, it was really unfortunate because Martinez, he almost ruined his, I don't know. He's lucky he didn't get DQ'd. Because quite honestly, he should have been DQ'd. It was a blatant foul. However, maybe you could argue from his angle, he didn't see he was on his knee. I'm not sure I buy it, because he was on his knee for a good second and a half. I mean, watch it. You could at least get out like a 1/1000. And that's a long time in boxing. These guys are flyweights. They're fast. So, the referee... I don't think the referee made a mistake. I thought it's Martinez, right? Am I getting the name?
Martinez.
Martinez was because there was a moment. I don't know. It was sort of delicious in the sense that so many things happened at the same time. I think what Mauricio Sulaiman did was arbitrary, but I think it was right and I think it's a reason why we should have the replay.
You didn't even need the replay for that.
You didn't need the replay, you're right.
No.
But you did because the referee blew it.
Well, the referee, he didn't call it, and the BBBSC blew it by not, by basically, they didn't want to get involved, it seemed, Yeah,
and I think that in a way, Sulaiman did the right thing. He saw... in a way, how we got there was inappropriate, I guess is the right word, because it certainly seemed like the hometown crowd jeered the decision into a no contest.
And that's exactly what Mauricio Sulaiman said. He alluded to that. But keep one thing in mind.
I think that was the right call.
Well, keep one thing in mind, too. The fight never went 4 rounds. So when something crazy happens like that, right, it's ruled a no contest anyway. So I think it was a safe call by Sulaiman. I'm just curious to see if Edwards ever gets in the ring with Martinez.
Interesting.
I love that story. I love the story that he gets in his.
I was like, oh my God, Billy C's love.
I loved it. He gets in a street fight, takes out 2 thugs. loses his ID in the cab, ends up going in jail, fights 2 fights that makes weight, says it was good I was in jail, I made weight, and wins that fight. Well,
that's the best part. That's the best part.
I know.
Being in jail helped him make weight.
It reminded me of the old movie Stripes when John Candy's going, wait, I got a workout program. I could lose some weight in here when he's talking about joining the Army. One last thing, and I gotta let you go.
If I could just interject for a
sure,
second.
Alex, sure.
It was very unfortunate. I was torn because part of me was like, damn, Martinez deserves this.
I know.
This
me too.
Was awesome. He totally upset this guy. He surged into his hometown and took it. But he absolutely fouled the guy. He blatantly hit him when he was down. So you deserve to be punished. So he should be thankful that Suleiman gave him that no contest. And I think did what, it would have taken 2 weeks for the BBSC to probably come up with the same decision.
It takes them 2 weeks to mail me the rankings. What are you kidding? What's your thoughts on the big drama show October 5th, Triple G against Deverenchenko? I said earlier with Dax that if I was asked about this particular matchup a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have even hesitated. But I'm not so sure. I have to admit, as big of a fan of Triple G as I am, I think his best days are long behind him. This is a tough fight for him.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think he's at the age where every fight, especially against a dangerous guy like Derevinchenko, these guys have a shot. More so, we're not talking about the indestructible-looking Golovkin of, like 2015, 2016. It's unfortunate because I really wanted to see the rubber match with Canelo, and now it doesn't seem like we're going to see that for a while. So in a way, this is the Derevinchenko fight is a sort of a consolation prize, but it's an extremely dangerous consolation prize because he's no slouch. But I would favor Golovkin probably by decision in a fight that could. Make him look older once again, older still. Especially, remember, now he's got his new trainer. This is a fight where they usually say it takes, 3 fights to gel with a new trainer. This will be his second. So we'll have to see. This is a guy who, having Abel Sanchez might have been the right thing because this guy could test him a bit, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this guy's rugged. And Triple G's got some miles on him, and it is what it is. And for all those years that we wanted to see him fight Mayweather, and everyone said how big he was. Oh, he's too big. He's not big. He's not a big middleweight. He really isn't. Triple G. Deverenchenko, he's big. Danny Jacobs, he's big. So, hey, Alex, I promise we'll get your full set. And we'll show off your haircut next week. It'll be great. Okay, just this week, not so much. But in any event, I appreciate it, and we'll look forward to next week, brother.
Sounds good, Billy C. Take care.
All right, that's Alex Papali, and I promise next week you'll get to see him.
Billy C. will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
Have osteoarthritis in one or both knees? If you have osteoarthritis in one or both knees, are you on Medicare, Obamacare, or other health insurance? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a prescription strength solution for osteoarthritis of the knees, covered by Medicare at little to absolutely no cost to you. We also offer a prescription strength topical pain relief ointment that can be used for pain experienced on other areas of your body. Our experienced staff will work with your doctor and handle all of your Medicare or insurance paperwork. Best of all, your prescription is shipped directly to your home for free. Will you qualify for a prescription strength solution for osteoarthritis of the knee or for a topical pain relief ointment covered by Medicare or private insurance at little or no cost to you?
Find out for free by calling the Back and Knee Pain Center at 1-800-604-1072. That's 1-800-604-1072, 1-800-604-1072.
Medical alarms for people who fall or have medical emergencies. You never think you'll need one until you do. Hi, I'm Lonnie Anderson for Advantage Alert. Today, our advanced systems locate and protect people inside and outside their homes, plus when they're on the road, allowing users with the press of a button to speak with an operator who can summon help. And even after 30 years, Advantage Alert's products remain amazingly affordable.
Call 800-985-1705.
Addiction is an epidemic in America. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, you need to call the R360 Network now.
I'm Ken Seeley, author, addiction recovery specialist, and former addict. R360 is a nationwide network of addiction recovery specialists that I personally selected and recommend.
The call is free, the consultation is free. If you have private insurance, your treatment could be covered with no out-of-pocket cost.
Call 800-705-0023.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young. And he's got martinis. So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. We tried to get Emily Harney on, but I guess there's some issues going on. I apologize for the Dax and Alex not you guys being able to see them. As you know, we had gone under some updates and upgrades with the show in terms of software and studio and programming, etc. And there's still a couple little bugs. We do thankfully have a whole backup set up. So if we ever run into just a broadcast issue, we have two, not one, but two backups. So you're not going to plan on seeing us and not see us after these events. So we will be back next week for sure. I just want to give everyone my final thoughts on the Vasiliy Lomachenko, Luke Campbell fight. I thought it was a very entertaining fight. Like I said, I think Lomachenko is pound for pound number one, tied with Terrence Crawford. The guy is unbelievable. I think Luke Campbell deserves a lot of credit for this fight. He kept Lomachenko at bay for most of the fight. I think both fighters deserve credit. I mean, Lomachenko, we know, is a disciplined fighter, and we know the talent that he possesses. But I'm not so sure a lot of people understood or realized how talented Luke Campbell was. He, too, stuck with his game plan and showed extreme discipline in this fight, and I think it kept him on his feet for the whole fight. I mean, yes, he hit the canvas once, almost hit the canvas in the fifth round as well, but he ended the fight on his feet. I think Luke Campbell will eventually become a world champion. I do believe he will be back. I think that Lomachenko will unify the belts, and I think that he will move up to go try to seek his place in history even further than he is right now. So I do look for him to unify the belts at 135 and then move up to 140. Who he fights at 140, I'm not sure, but we'll see. Alex Papali thinks that Mikey Garcia might be the fight. That would be a tough one because Garcia is so big. but that would be something that Vasiliy Lomachenko would challenge himself with. I think you're going to get to see Alexander Povetkin fight again in possibly a world title fight. Then again, don't be surprised if you see him against a guy like Pulev. I think he deserves a money fight, but as far as Huey Fury's concerned, not too interested in him. Julio Cesar Martinez against Charlie Edwards in a rematch. I have a feeling you're not going to see it. I think what we're going to see is Julio Cesar Martinez fight someone else for the vacated title. I have a feeling Charlie Edwards is going to vacate that title. He indicated that he was having a hard time making weight. The WBC is ordering a rematch. So I don't think Charlie Edwards has a chance against Martinez, and I think that he's going to try to move up in weight to avoid him. But that's just my opinion there. As far as some other fights coming up, we will be doing a post-fight after the Tyson Fury-Otto Wallin fight. And also, DAZN, the same night, has Jaime Mugaya against Patrick Alate. Not sure if we'll be able to talk about all of those fights, but we will certainly try. I also wanted to mention that some news tonight. Middleweight Jeff Horn was supposed to be setting himself up to challenge Ryota Murata for his WBA middleweight title in Japan at the end of December, and he was supposedly having a tune-up fight against Michael Zeffira, but he got knocked out in the 9th round from Zeffira. So Jeff Horn loses his opportunity. Whether Zeffira is the guy that will fight Murata or not, I don't know. Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua are set for their rematch. It is taking place in December 7th, in Saudi Arabia. There was some talk that Ruiz wasn't going to fight. He didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. He was in a contract, would have tied him up for a while, but his holding his breath and stomping his feet got him another $1 million. So they're starting their press tour Wednesday, I believe. So keep your eyes open for that. As far as Canelo Kovalev, I think you're going to hear about that fight being made. I think that fight will be made and take place before the end of this year. We are getting ready to enter September, so look for that fight to take place around I think, end of November, mid-December, before the holidays type. I can't see it going to January, but it could conceivably kick off the new year with that fight and then see Canelo fight again in May. Canelo wants to fight in May. He wants to get back on fighting in May and September. So the Kovalev fight would have to take place at the end of this year or very early next year in order for Canelo to maintain his preference of schedule. So keep an eye out for that. And as far as Triple G and Deverenchenko, like we mentioned earlier, this is a big fight. I don't think it's an easy fight for Triple G. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to be a very difficult one. We will be back next week. We'll be talking about some boxing news. Don't forget to check our show out. We do have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week television channel through Gyneco USA. You can get it on all the major streaming services. Just go to GynecoUSA.com and sign up for that. As always, you could always get yourself a copy of my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Men on the Planet. I am working on another one, and I will give you more details coming up soon. Hey, I just want to thank everyone for joining us, and all I could say is until next time, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.